you were present when Big died, and I seen you went back and forth with Mace about what he had going on and what you did. What I want you to do is, if you can, for those, especially young kids who don't even know that era, what was the atmosphere like when being in LA, moving around after the situation with Pac and just being on the West Coast, going back to Cali? Can you explain the atmosphere of just what you felt in the air of just what that day was or what that weekend was?
Not to disrespect the women that's in here, I was young, dumb, and full of cum. I didn't give a. You understand? And I was smart enough to know that I better vest the fuck up and know if something go down, I may have to handle something. I may not come back home. I was just that dumb because I didn't have to be there. I chose to be there. But then again, I was told something that didn't happen. We're not going nowhere. We're not going to no parties. We're going to do the Soul Train and we're going to do studio. So to get off a private jet or a regular plane and go straight to the hotel and just go straight to the studio and go straight to Soul Train, I thought that would be cool to make the money. You understand what I'm saying?
Good plan. But
that wasn't even the situation. Me and Puff went to a lot of parties and a lot of places that Big them never showed up at. The only time I seen Big them was at the studio and Soul Train. You understand?
Yeah.
So it was dangerous, it was idiotic, and it was crazy for us to risk anybody's life for being in Cali at the time.
Around the time when Pac was actually killed, did Puff exhibit any kind of weird behavior or maybe any kind of guilt?
I didn't see Puff exhibit any of those films. How do you give a fuck about your enemy?
Well, one would say if a man is not as tough, he might feel like shit. Somebody might know. Somebody might tell.
Tell what? Know what?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a question.
We heard of, and I'm gonna throw his name out there because he's arrested right now.
Bro, but check it out. Don't brain wrestle with me, man. If you gotta say something, say what you gotta say. Yeah. Do what you gotta do, man. This is your money, your time, bro. Come on, let's do this.
Keepy D was arrested. There was words of $10,000 that was supposed to get in somebody's hands for when Tupac was murdered.
$10,000.
Let's just say
I ain't heard that story.
Yeah, I might be off on a number, but amount of number was supposed to get in somebody's hands, but it didn't quite make it there. And this is through the Keefy D Vlad series, to where anything that as far as, again, not saying who was what, but because that happened, because Tupac was murdered, that some money was to be exchanged. It didn't happen. Did you ever hear any rumblings of someone didn't get paid?
No, not at all.
Hold up. G-Deal is about to break down and explain who was really behind the passing of Biggie and Tupac. So this video is going to be super interesting because when it comes on to Biggie and Tupac, the two, I will say, biggest rappers ever in hip-hop, when it comes on to the telling of the story, how they passed and who was truly behind it, well, you have mixed conversation. But G-Deal is about to reveal never heard before information and details, so y'all need to watch the full video and listen thoroughly because G-Deal, he holds back nothing. And once again, guess whose name comes up in every situation? Puffy, the Diddy boss, the Diddy bop. Yes, Puffy. Remember to drop a like, because this video ain't no Puffy. If you ain't supporting Diddy, man, drop a like. But listen, I'm gonna shut up and stop talking. Check out the rest of the interview.
How did it feel? How did Puffy react when Biggie was killed?
He was distraught, but he was in a daze, because I don't think that he thought it could happen. Because I told him before we left, that we go to this party, somebody gonna die tonight, bro. I got a phone call. I got a phone call by 3 credible sources. You understand? Right. Chaz Williams, over Black Hands, part of the Guerrilla Black Mafia. Unique from Mecca Audio. And the dude that was running with Jodeci them. Now, if people tell you they're not going to a party, and it's supposed to be the lit party of the century, you see Mace didn't show up at the party because he knew something too. And where I could say Mace knew something because the people out in California, when Mace went to basketball game, they told him, we want Puff and we want Big. See, everybody do all these investigations and everything like that, and they don't listen to the people who were there. Like I said before, there were people who wanted Big dead, and there were people who wanted Puff dead. You get it?
Right.
The people that wanted Puff dead, you understand, I thought it was a dude from the Nation of Islam that we got into it at Soul Train, right? The people that thought they had something to do with Big Jake dying, which they didn't. that was a part of Death Row or the Bloods. Then you got the guys that Big, what was called the Dog Pound, the guys with the Dog Pound when Big was out there. He was in New York, and the Dog Pound was in New York doing a video.
Yeah.
Big made a phone call to the radio station. I don't know why they aired that shit today and said, "Yo, New York, y'all let the Dog Pound be in Red Hook and do a video." So now they want Big head. Yeah. That video shoot got shot up, bro. Them bullets ain't have no names on it.
That's a Snoop Dogg video with
right.
Dog Pound in New York.
Right. So you understand what I'm saying? All those people and the people who love Pac, when Pac came up there, they thought Big and them may have had something to do with that or whatever. So that's 5 different fractions of people that may wanted somebody dead in Bad Boy. So now you get to this. Puff know what Mace told him. Mace ain't tell Big he had that conversation with Big. But I had a conversation with Big and them about coming around anywhere we go. Don't come to no parties, don't come nowhere. Because it's like that.
And just because I don't know the full story, but Mace said he was with Brandy, the singer? Or is this Brandy somebody else?
Mace said he was with Brandy, the singer. I was in a hotel room with Mace, with Brandy.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you was hotel room with Brandy, why did you make the statement, Brandy called me trying to get me to go to the party? So was she next door? She was next to you, y'all, both on y'all cell phones and shit? And she said, "Yo, Mace, we ought to go to the party." He said, "Brandy, I'm not going to the party." If you with her, you got to watch what people say. I'm not saying he wasn't with Brandy at some time, but was he with Brandy after Big got killed or before Big got killed? And this is the biggest party in the industry, the Vibe party, the Soul Train after party.
Someone says Diddy set up Biggie to get killed. What do you say to that?
I actually thought that he put Big in a situation and thought that the individuals who was going to come to do something to Big would have did something or try to do something to Big. I'm trying not to believe that he had anything to do with Big's death. I think that the people who was trying to kill Puff killed Big.
So, after that, some time passes, Puff still lives. Are you shocked that he still was able to continue to thrive and grow after so much animosity was being presented towards him?
Well, Puff was built for that. You understand? Puff's mother trained him to be a superstar or in the industry, whether it been a model or a dancer or singer or whatever like that, whatever his talent would have been. So for him to come back from there.
No, I believe Gene Deal is one of the first person to really actually speak on the Mace in the situation of Biggie passing, because for the most part, we only hear about Diddy. And yeah, for the most part, Diddy, Keefe D, and the other young men, but yeah, for the most part, it's really just them, right? Yes, we know about Mace, he gave his statement and all of that, but Gene Deal was one of the first to actually really touch on Mace's part in all of this story. And he said to listen to what Mace said carefully, because it seems like Mace is contradicting himself. Because he said that he was at the hotel, but he said that Brandy called him and all of that to go to the party. But one perspective could be she did actually call him, but they decided to stay at the hotel. Another perspective could be he is lying. Another perspective also could be that he's telling the truth, but he just didn't explain it properly. I would say for this situation, if he wasn't there, there's so many assumptions that can be made or could be made. As a matter of fact, that is what is happening up to this day. There are probably a few persons who really, really know what happened. Gene Deal came with, a very, very valid reasoning. He said that he tells himself Diddy's not involved, right? But he believes that persons who were after Diddy, simply just decided to, give it to Biggie and all of that. And as we can live to testify that they overall couldn't or didn't, we don't know if they couldn't touch Diddy or after they caught Biggie, they decided not to go after Diddy anymore, which that would even make Diddy more sus. Like, they wanted Diddy all along. Yes, they got one of his friends, but why stop after him? So that would even make Diddy more sus. But Gene Deal is really emphasizing on the Mace situation, man. And he said that Mace, for fact, definitely knew that Biggie would have been in trouble. He told Diddy, but none of them told Biggie. And that is why a lot of people are still coming back to the fact that Diddy knew what was going to happen, or have a very solid feeling or a solid hint that Biggie was going to pass that night. Not just Diddy, but a few persons from the Bad Boy Club, right? So it seems like, it's crazy, man. It seems like so many persons knew and no one told Biggie. Like, if that is the case, that goes to show, man, that they weren't his friends, man. He was just surrounded by opportunists, my bad. right? So it's crazy. That's why we have to be careful of our circle, man. We got to be careful. We really have to be careful. But I want you guys to watch the rest of the interview. Remember to drop a like, my people, and also subscribe. Enough of me talking. Check out the rest of the interview.
I think that he had no other reason. He had to. He had the blueprint. Biggie gave him the plan.
Gene, let me ask you, are you surprised that, we're about to have a trial with Tupac's murder, but Biggie's murder is still unsolved, may go unsolved? Are you surprised with that?
No, I'm not surprised because the LAPD has suppressed all the evidence and they know who killed Big already, brother. I have not told a lie. When I tell the people that they had the picture of the Muslim, me and Puff in the same picture, you understand? Walking up to Puff van, but they had his face distorted. They know they got those pictures. The FBI agent, Phil Carson, said he saw the same picture. Then when he went back to review it, the picture was gone. See, they didn't know who they was dealing with. They didn't know that I had a memory like an elephant, and I was not going to forget anything that happened. I wrote that in my second book, exactly what went down during that interview. You got people around here telling lies. This is the guy he picked. No, I don't. Run the tape. The tape will tell you, they asked me, do any of these guys on this photo look like him? And I said, nah. He said, anybody look close like the guy, something like that on this photo? I said, he looks something like him, but it's not him. That's what I said. Anytime you do a lineup and you point somebody out, what do the cops make you do? They make you initial it or sign under the picture. Correct. That you said that. They seen a circle, say, this is the one he picked. No, I didn't. Not one of the detectives who was on that thing said I picked anybody in the lineup. I just said he looks something like him, but it's not him.
Damn. Well, it's crazy because, documentaries come out. I know police have spoken, and it's one of those things to where we might get some, I don't want to say closure, but with KVD coming up, that might open up light to Tupac. I'm just curious. We're about to fast forward to what Diddy got going on. Gene, you started talking about, let's say, a few years ago, about just your life in the industry. Are you concerned about the feds wanting to come sit down and talk to you about, hey, we need you as a character witness about some situation that may have happened back, during your heyday?
Some situation back during my heyday.
They want to talk to you about things
you have to be more specific than you are, sir.
Yeah, let's get to it. The feds want to ask you certain questions about what you may have seen, and they want you as a character witness to speak on and testify against Diddy.
To testify against Diddy? Correct. About what?
About anything you may have seen. I mean, well, no, not even testify yet. They want to bring you in for questioning about what you may have seen. Is that a thing?
What I can say to you, sir, is that being an officer myself, they don't bring you in to question you about what you may have seen. They question you about what they already know you have seen.
That's the feds,
and what you say. You understand? So there's no way I would know that. You understand? But what I can tell you is that, can Puff be erratic? Yes, he can. You've seen that. Can he be, does he have a monstrous behavior sometimes? Yes, he have. You've seen that. You understand? Can he be threatening and abusive? Yes, he can. You've seen that. So, bro, I went on MTV in 99, VH1 in 2001, 2011. Everything that y'all just now hearing, I've been told it to them. I've been said it. They got tapes and they could go back and say, well, he didn't say that. He didn't. They got 5 hours. Y'all getting an hour. They got 5 hours, brother. Do you understand what I'm saying? Both of those places, VH1 and MTV. I was in a silhouette because I was working still as an officer. And I didn't want to lose my job. When Miss Wallace brought me over, Puff told her, I don't know Gene Deal. I told Miss Wallace everything till she was crying and told me to be quiet. She didn't want to hear no more about the night her son died and what was going down and what I told Puff and what I said to Big, the whole 9 yards, how I pulled him out the car, all that. So, bruh, this is nothing new to me. This is just post-traumatic stress that I constantly live through. And I talk about it to get over it and get me through the night. I'm not an abuser. I'm not an addict. You understand? I'm not an alcoholic. It's a good thing that I found YouTube, and I found certain things other than sitting on a couch.
Once again, everybody, Gene Deal, breaks down everything. And more importantly, I want to say that I definitely believe the FBI and cops definitely have solid information that haven't really been released to the public. It's really who knows who and can receive some tips and information that really knows who really was behind Biggie's passing, man. Like, I'm telling you. And it's kind of sad, but when I really look at it, it's a lot of cases out there that are similar to Biggie. But you can say the difference with Biggie is that he was, a big icon, right? Remember, at the time, matter of fact, not just at the time, he's still seen as the best rapper to ever live for some people, right? But I can definitely say for overall, he is one of the best, right? So his status was different. So even though there's a lot of cases where it goes unsolved or all of that, for Biggie's situation, it still will be talked about more. But Gene Deal believes that the cops and FBI definitely knows who did it, so it isn't really unsolved. It's really just unsolved for the public and for the persons who don't know what really happened or, how it really was processed. But Gene Deal strongly believes, as he said, that the FBI know for a fact who did it, and they may have caught him or not. We don't know. And that's the thing. I believe we will never know unless someone who run that case or who ran that case while they were police or FBI, unless that person come out and speak, man, we will never know about Biggie's situation, man. For Pac, we kind of have here and there, with Keefe D and all of them. So we kind of, you can say, have all of that and all of that. But for Biggie, man, it's sort of blank, right? It's sort of blank. But also Gene Deal spoke on the fact that, for Diddy, everything that he will say is that what we see already. But, if I was around him at that time, I would ask him, can you tell us something about Diddy that we do not know or we haven't seen, right? Because I believe that Diddy has a lot of more dirty traits, man. Nobody can tell me that, man. They say you're not supposed to judge someone, but based on everything that I've seen from Diddy, I believe he has some more dirty traits that the world may have not seen as yet, man. I ain't gonna tell no lie. So I would have asked Gene Deal, man, could he tell us something that we haven't seen before and hear what his response would be? Because remember, he have seen it all. Gene Deal have seen it all. And lastly, but not least, he spoke on the fact that doing these interviews help him. Because everything that is coming to light now or recently, he have seen it years ago, decades ago. And that is true. Remember, he was a bodyguard, not just for Diddy, but for a lot of celebrities, he was, around those times. And remember, Gene Deal started to speak out, not just no. Gene Deal actually started to break his silence a while back, a good while back, right? So I definitely understand where it's coming from, man. And for him, if these interviews help him and cure him, then why not, man? Let him tell his story, man. Let him tell his story, man. As he said, it's better than to be home sitting on his couch, man. It's better he's sitting on the couch and telling a story, man. It's better he's sitting on the couch with a podcast and telling his story, man, than sitting on his couch at his home being silent and doing nothing, man. So I definitely understand where it's coming from. I want you guys to let me know what your thoughts and perspective. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys truly believe when it comes on to the Biggie situation and Diddy and Mace. Remember to drop a like and subscribe, show some love. Drop a like and subscribe, show some love. I want to say it is a boy Premium Celeb, and as usual, I'm out.